Good morning, everybody. I got a couple of great questions here I want to jump right into. So Zashava says, I'm loving all the uploads so far and am excited for what's to come. I've got several content suggestions, but I imagine things just starting, you probably have a good amount of ideas to cover. Zashava, if you got suggestions, let's hear them. Post them over in the community section or respond to me in a message or whatever you want to do. Let's hear your content suggestions. I want to hear them. When it comes to playing two-finger style, what's the difference / your preference for thumb lead or index lead? Are certain licks or techniques more attainable depending on the lead finger? I'm trying to pick up the style myself, and coming from a guitar background, I find thumb lead much more intuitive. Okay. All right, Zashava. So yes, I would say I don't really have a preference for thumb lead versus index lead. Thumb lead is like you lead with your thumb. And yeah, it is more intuitive for me anyhow. When I first started playing the banjo, that's how I started trying to play. I lead off with my thumb, I anchor my three fingers, and sometimes I started playing way up here because I like that soft sound better. I like that soft sound better back then, but now I'll anchor my three fingers a little bit closer to the bridge and play with that. So that's thumb lead. Index lead is, I guess, where you lead off with your index. I don't really do that, except maybe when I'm up picking, doing upstroke. So generally I do thumb lead. And yeah, there is like a difference, like certain techniques and certain tunes or whatever are definitely more attainable with one or the other. I probably will switch into like a finger or index lead, like for here and there on some songs. Maybe when I do like a waltz time song, like I don't know, that might, who knows. So yeah, I think that answers that. Thumb lead is definitely probably a little more intuitive. People who are first getting into the banjo, thumb lead is probably the easiest. Two-finger thumb lead is probably the easiest way to just get into learning to play the banjo. Thanks for that question, Zashab. I hope I answered it sufficiently. Jeff says, you're really great at this, Clifton. I've been following you for a few years and hoping someday you would teach your songs and techniques. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the encouragement. St. James Infirmary is one of my favorites that you do. Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. St. James Infirmary. That's on the From the Hills and From the Plains CD that I did with Jake Book. If you go on Bandcamp and find me, you can get that CD. He might still have hard copies on his Bandcamp, but you can download it from me or him. And that's a fun track I play. I do a waltz. We were just talking about waltz. I do a waltz time like blues, the St. James Infirmary blues, and accompanied myself on the kazoo, and Jake backed it up on guitar. And it was a lot of fun to do that recording. I'd love to do a whole like bluesy CD like that someday, maybe with a band. That'd be awesome. What do you see as... He has two questions. What do you see as more valuable, playing a song like the old masters played it or adapting it to be your own? And two, do you generally play a tune the same when singing as you do when not singing along? In other words, do you strip the melody down to make it easier to sing and play at the same time? Okay, Jeff, so first question, is it more valuable to play a song like the old masters or to make it your own? Well, I think it's more valuable to make it your own. I mean, everything we do is a tip of the hat to the old masters, right? Everything I do is, but I don't want, I don't do this note for note trying to copy the way somebody plays, obviously. I've always tried to make everything my own. You guys probably already know that, and some of you are probably the same way. And I encourage you to do the same. And that's what the old masters did themselves, right? they heard an old traditional tune or something, or a new song that somebody had written, and they learned it by ear. Sometimes they'd only heard it once, maybe in a drunken bar somewhere, on the side of the road. They heard it once, and then they went back later and listened to it and remembered it, and they made it their own. They had to. So make it your own. I think that's more valuable. But always tip your hat to the old masters, But it is yours. It's ours. This is a living tradition. This tradition is not dead. It's alive every day. It's breathing out of me right now. And it's in you guys. So make these songs your own. That's my encouragement. One more quick question I think we have time for. Ian Keene says, your content was a huge part of the reason I started playing banjo, and I love your new videos so far. Thanks, Ian. I'm glad to hear that. I love hearing that I've inspired somebody to get into the banjo especially. So good. I'm doing my job if I've inspired you anywhere near the amount that you guys have inspired me. So that's great. It'd be great to hear at some point how you got into building banjos and where that's taken you. Do you have any advice for people who may be interested in learning those skills? Well, I should have jumped up and got the book off the shelf over here. I don't want to do it right now. I don't have time. But the Foxfire books is where I started to learn to make banjos. I made my first banjo when I was 16, me and my dad, using the Foxfire book. And we'll have to do a whole series of videos on banjo building, I guess, in the future. And I will show you guys the books and stuff that I'm into, that I looked at. But the Foxfire, I think it's Foxfire number 3, that teaches you how to make the mountain banjos. And there's another Foxfire, I forget which number it is, that shows how to make some gourd banjos and stuff. So that's basically where I started. And then Matt Kinman, you guys know him, you should look him up. Matt Kinman, great musician and instrument repair guy, instrument maker. And he told me a lot of things on how to make them. And then most of the luthier, technical stuff I learned either from George Gibson or from Jack Dillon, a great luthier in Asheville, North Carolina. He taught me a lot of stuff about luthier, but that's how I got into building banjos. I had the Foxfire 3 book as a kid, and my dad got me into woodworking at that age. At the age of 16, I made my first banjo. So Ian, we're going to have to address that in more depth in a longer video. But for now, I wanted to get to those three. Those are 3 great questions that I really appreciate getting. And keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. Give me some ideas for some future videos. I've got plenty of ideas already. But just keep it going, guys. Thanks for everything. I will see you soon.